So this one will surprise some people, what I'm going to say. It would, because, well, I don't stand with any of these Republicans, not because of this. I just don't stand with any right now. I just don't. Yeah, I'm sick of the whole political system. Anyway, but the 23 that voted to table censuring Rashida Tlaib, I agree with. Oh, I know. Go ahead and attack me. But you can't have it both ways. I get it. There's nothing that this woman says or does that I've ever stood with, okay? She's part of the squad. The squad is owned by George Soros, okay? But this what they want to censure her about with the whole thing she said about Israel. First of all, this woman's been saying that since she got into office, okay? This speaks to a bigger problem, that censuring her isn't the answer. You have to deal with the problem, how it gets to this result at the education level and at the university level. Because I think it had to have been with the millennials. I'm assuming that Gen X was likely the last generation, my generation, to be taught the right history about America. And then it started slowly changing, and then it's like not even recognizable now. And all through these universities, you have these ideology-driven professors that push that's your Marxists. That's how they get in. They get in and they taint the minds of young people at the school level and at the university level. And then that's what they do. That's what Karl Marx did. He knew how to do the manipulation here. Even before him, I mean, it really goes back to the Garden of Eden, the serpent. If you take away her speech and there's nothing she says I agree with, then you're a hypocrite. So just so people realize, and I'm not trying to rip, I know I have ripped on Mike Johnson and Lauren Boebert and some others. I don't stand with any of the Republicans, and the Democrats, as I said, is a lost cause. But actually, I agree, and there's none of these Republicans that there's none of the Republicans really I stand with. I just don't. But you can't have it both ways. You can't. And yes, we've already, Trump supporters most especially, but not even just that. Anybody speaking the truth the last 3 years, you've been silenced. You've had tons of TikTok accounts taken down. So we've had a major censorship problem going on at all social media levels, okay? So it may seem like, no, they should censor her. She's saying this. Yeah, it's speech. It's not right. I don't agree with it. And you can argue it's harmful, but they say the same thing about Trump supporters. That us just supporting Trump is somehow a danger to the country. So to me, the answer to deal with this problem is you have to gut it out of the universities, because the university's job isn't to push their ideology. Okay, we have a ton of professors that need to be gutted out of these universities because they go on to push their ideology onto those children, or onto the young children and young adults in universities. No, they're there to teach whatever it is that they're teaching, okay? But it's changed. It's turned into the critical race theory. But before that, they were teaching false history about America. They were teaching about this 1619 bullshit. And so that is over time. That's how you get then all of these university students that don't realize that they've been indoctrinated. So the way to deal with this problem so it doesn't get to this point is you have to, stop sending your kids to the university, because I don't know how you got them. You got to stop funding them if they're going to push an ideology, okay? But they all infiltrated into these universities. But I think they were there even before then. I've said it before, because of the secret societies at many of these, most especially Yale, Harvard, Columbia, but most of them. They all run along the same ideology lines. So the very fact that those professors couldn't see the problem with themselves being mind manipulated into this ideology that's really just it's a death cult. That's what it is. It is disturbing, and we shouldn't have professors in any university because they've just been controlled by this ideology, and then they become that's where the problem is. Okay, if you censure her, and they didn't, they tabled it. So 23 Republicans, they didn't kill it, they just tabled it, and their reasoning is because of the First Amendment, and it's the truth. You can't have it both ways. So there's a lot of hypocrisy going on right now. There really is. But here's where your answers again lie. Is the Bible. Jesus said, "Let them, their lips will blah blah blah, blah, and they will hang themselves." Now, the problem here is because the universities and the education system, going back to, I think the wrong history had to have been started being taught in the millennial generation, a slow roll changing the history to the millennials, because the millennials are on board with like some of the stuff. It's like, no, you don't even know the history, but you can't tell them because these teachers and professors have drilled it into their head. But over time, there's been these small fires, and because those small fires are never addressed, that's how you get to this stuff. That's how you get to this. So you're not gonna take care of this problem by censoring her. Just let her talk. She's been saying this stuff against the Jews since she got into office, and people have reported it. She's a hateful heart. Jesus talked about these people. Let them show. They'll show their hateful hearts. She does. And in a society that is healthy in their mind, healthy in the sense that they can recognize, yeah, I've been manipulated by this whole ideology that now is supporting terrorism, is supporting pushing transgenderism on children, is supporting drag time story hour in the classroom and at kindergarten age. I mean, if that stuff didn't wake most of these people up, that's how the left is, though. The left is so ideologically driven. That's why they love collectivism. That's why I said I'm not a grouper. That's what happens. So it's hard to break them, especially if the higher educated. They're too stubborn to break free. Some of them have, and you've seen them come out against their universities. However, they should have recognized that they shouldn't have been marching with Black Lives Matter either. Okay, because they were just a small form of a terrorist organization with all the fires they started all over the U.S. in 2020. In major cities. They destroyed major cities. And they were allowed to get away with it. And yet tons of professors marched with those people. The same professors now that have come out and said, look they hate the... Well, you were marching with BLM, though. You didn't want to see it. So wake up. You're totally ideological driven. So the people like Mike Johnson and Lauren Boebert, this is why I say they're so misguided biblically. They are. Okay? Because what Jesus spoke heavily about hypocrites. He hated hypocrites. So if you censure her, and they wanted to, Mike Johnson, and yeah, I don't support these 23 either. I'm just saying that I agree. You can't censure her. Not unless you want to start destroying all your amendments. Now, Glenn Beck, you see him being a hypocrite because he said, no, we shouldn't allow this speech to the river to the sea means they want genocide. I get it. It's horrible, but let the hateful hearts be shown for what they are. And in a healthy society, the healthy-minded society will see that for what it is. Think about it. The mere fact that there's even a discussion about transgenderism on children shows how unhealthy many of the minds in this country are. That should not even, like a long time ago, that should have been, especially the higher educated going along with that in the education system, in the healthcare system. That's how far we've fallen astray. So you have to deal with the right history being taught and not a hate America history. Censoring her, she's a result of a long line of fires. It's not the answer to silence.